or 1/3 of American adults have hypertension. 65 million persons. Which, how do you define hypertension? What is it? What number do you put on hypertension? In other words, your blood pressure. What are you looking for?
Lower number at the top or at the bottom.
Let me just rephrase that. What is a normal blood pressure? Let's start there.
119 over 80.
119 over 79 or 120 over 80 is the common word, right? So a lot of times when your blood pressure is 140 or 160, people have kind of thought that to be normal. I've heard even in my past practice that 140 over 90 is not that bad. And the nurses would constantly say that. Your head's blocking. They would constantly say that. But the truth of the matter is, if you are above 120 over 80, you've gone over. So we're going to look at what high blood pressure actually does to the body, and we're going to couple that as well with diabetes. So here's some actual facts. We find the 8 laws of health in the first 2 chapters of the Bible, which I will go over. Godly trust, Genesis 2:17. Open air, which is, why do we need open air? Why do we need daily exercise? Why do we need sunshine? Why do we need rest? Why do we need to drink water? Why do we need to be temperate in our habits of eating and working? Meaning having some sort of a regulation, right? We're not overdoing it or not doing enough of it. And why do we need good nutrition? Which is found there as well in Genesis 1:29. I'm going to go over this. Here's the top leading causes of death in the year 2016 and 2017. So what's at the very top? Heart disease, right? Heart disease, which is a group of diseases that can fall under various umbrellas. High blood pressure could be also there. Cancer. We have stroke coming in right there. Alzheimer's, diabetes, influenza, pneumonia, and then kidney disease. So actually from the National Vital Statistics Center for Health Statistics. Now this particular study that I've done is mostly based upon people of Caribbean descent, but more so Jamaicans, okay? So here's the leading cause of death in Jamaica. So the reason why that is significant is because a lot of people who have migrated from Jamaica to the United States, in most cases, will continue their cultural practices, right? So number one, 81.9% you have strokes. And number 2 is diabetes. Now that's really, really startling. And then right down there you have kidney disease, hypertensive heart disease, okay? So stroke is basically a brain attack. If you have heard of a heart attack, stroke is a brain attack. And in most cases, stroke victims have had extensive hypertension for a long period of time that is not controlled. So I'm going to go over this quote. It says, our bodies are built from the food that we eat. This is the primary thing I teach. What makes your body is the food that you eat. So there is a constant breaking down of the tissues of the body. Every movement of every organ involved what? Waste. And that waste, if it is not going where it needs to go, then it builds up in the body and causes what? Inflammation. How many channels of elimination do we have that remove waste in our body?
4.
7. There's 7 channels of elimination. Can you name some?
The anus.
The anus, well, right for the GI.
Your liver,
So the gut
your
is
urinary tract, your kidneys.
the kidneys
skin,
for sure.
skin,
Your skin.
The skin is the biggest and largest organ of the body,
Your
and
mouth?
it removes
Yeah.
waste.
Your
Yes.
eyes. And your
Well,
ears.
well, let me go through them. The 7 channels. You got your kidneys. All right. Let's go over them slowly. What does the kidneys remove?
Your urinary waste.
Your urea
Yeah, your
and other waste. And where does the urea come from?
Urine.
Urea. Urea is the byproduct of protein metabolism. So when proteins break down, it turns into urea. That's the smell you smell when you have urine sitting down for like 8 hours or so, and you're like, what is this ammonia smell? That comes from a breakdown of your proteins, okay? So when you guys go to the bathroom, what color is your urine?
It should be as close to clear as possible, but if you have if you're not drinking enough water, it could be yellow, or if you have a lot of toxins,
Very dark.
it could be very dark.
So if your urine, I want you to do this in the morning. Start paying attention to your body. Because I went to the bathroom the other day, and I don't know who went, but they forgot to flush, and literally it was red.
Ew.
That's how yellow it was. So that person is not drinking adequate water. Okay, water is a solvent, and water is the number one. You need to be upstairs in homeschooling, Caleb, because I'm being distracted here.
Caleb, he's on live. Caleb, he's on live.
Water is the number one solvent, and water is actually a cleanser. Okay, and this is why we do hydrotherapy, like some of you did yesterday. You may not have thought about it, but you did that with the sauna and the hot and the cold water afterwards, right? I heard some people screaming.
Me.
Yeah.
It's not just a shock us.
But how did you feel afterwards?
I felt great. I felt rejuvenated.
Right. And what happens when you put yourself in a sweating box like a sauna? We're still on the topic of channels of elimination. I know we're going in circles, but I'm not. They all come together. You are simulating a fever. What happens when you have a fever?
Your body's heating up to fight off infection.
Your body is heating up to fight an infection, to kill a bacteria, a virus, a fungus, whatever it is that is invading the body, right? But then that fever itself, right? In most cases, we suppress it with Tylenol. So is that the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do?
It's the wrong thing because your body's just.
It's the wrong thing, right? Because when you have a fever, all we simply need to do is know how to deal with that condition. So making sure that you are staying hydrated, making sure that you are going in water, making sure that you have a cool rag over your head, right? And as you do this, you will actually help the body control its process of elimination of whatever the bacteria or the virus that is causing the fever. So yesterday, when you got in that sauna, we simulated a fever. We pretend that you are having a fever. And after that fever takes place, one of the other reasons why the body gives a fever is to get the immune system operating at a whole nother level than it has operated before.
Is that the jolting, like giving a jolt to your nervous system so that your system can just say we're ready to fight?
It's like zapping your system and giving it steroids, giving it good steroids, right? But in most cases, in the medical field, what do they do with that fever? What do they do with that cancer? They suppress the immune system. Prednisone is a medication they give you when you have a lung infection. What it does is it suppresses the immune system. It tells the immune system, no, stop working. Tylenol, you give it to that fever for that person who's having a fever. Same thing, right? So back to those channels of elimination. When we put you in that sauna, the main channel that we were activating to eliminate waste and toxins was the skin. All right, that's why you begin to sweat. You were sweating bullets, and then you got in that shower, and once you got in that shower, you literally seized all the white blood cells at the surface of the skin, so now they are working harder than before. And actually, studies show that hydrotherapy increases the white blood cells by up to some 300%. So if you want to boost your immune system to fight a fungal infection, a bacterial infection, a viral infection, get accustomed to doing saunas at home in your own in the comfort of your own home. You don't need.
If you don't have a sauna, you can always just turn your shower up really, really hot.
You can.
And do it that way. And
Yeah.
put the water on really, really cold.
And the sauna is really, it's not. These little carry-on saunas are cheap, right? So basically, the skin is a channel of elimination. The lungs. How about the lungs?
I think it's like the mouth, but the lungs get up the inflammation, the mucus, and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's all connected. So the mucus system includes the nose, the mouth. It's all connected, right? That's why you can go like that and get your mucus to come down to your mouth. It's connected. So the lungs is a channel of elimination. What is the lung eliminating?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide. And so this is why we recommend, even in Florida, you should always have your windows cracked. Even if your air conditioning's on, or even if your heat is on. Why? Because when we breathe out CO2 inside of a room, we're all breathing here, and guess what? We're breathing right back in.
CO2.
Same CO2,
So
same
carbon
waste.
dioxide poisoning.
No oxygen, right? So we need oxygen, and oxygen does not need air conditioning coming in necessarily.
So
Right.
I have a question about that. If you don't crack your windows, is that why you should have plants to help increase the oxygen?
Very good. I was going to get there. So if you, it's always wise to crack your windows. You will find that your sleep will be more rejuvenating when you crack your windows, especially in that fall cool air. You're going to wake up feeling so rested, right?
In Miami, Florida?
Well, I don't know what it's like in the fall there.
Hot.
So yeah, maybe Miami's hot. So, but get some oxygenated plants and put them, and I don't know what the recommendation is, but if you look online, you'll find recommendations when they say, well, they'll tell you, you can put the plants at certain feet of each other, and making sure that each square feet has this amount of plants to help with the oxygenation of the room. All right. So, come on, Miss Rose. And this waste is repaired from our food. So we have the lungs, we have the skin, we have the kidneys. What does the kidney remove? We talked about that.
Yeah.
We have the blood. That is a big one. And we have the actual lymphatic system. All right, the lymphatic system. Liver, and then you have the big
What
one.
about the gallbladder? Is that a part of the lymphatic system?
The gallbladder, so that's connected to the gut. Yeah, the gallbladder, the pancreas, all of those are connected with the gastrointestinal system. Okay? Now, the gut is the major one. Okay, why? Why is the gut the major system for elimination?
Because it has a microbiome to actually break down the food to
Yeah.
eat, to get rid of it.
Because it's the highway to the body. Everything that you are begins in your mouth. Let me just say that again. You are what you eat, essentially. So the food that you are putting in your body, that is what makes you, right? That is what keeps you alive. That is what feeds your blood. That is what feeds your cells. And so that is a significant part of who we are. This is why it says our bodies are built up from the food that we eat. The brain must be supplied with its portion of food or energy. The bones, the muscles, the nerves. It is a wonderful process that transforms food into blood and uses this blood to build up the very parts of the body. And it says, but this process is going on continually, supplying with life and strength each nerve, each muscle, and each tissue. So here's the blood. That's a beautiful picture of the blood vessels, the red blood cells, the white blood cells, the plasma, and the platelets. We're going to talk about all of these. What is the job of the red blood cells?
I have no clue. oxygen.
That's right. They carry oxygen. And by the way, you know the red blood cells are not liquid. You know your blood is not a liquid. Your blood is a tissue. In school, we were taught when we did anatomy and physiology and we looked at the blood, it was called blood connective tissue. The only liquid part of your blood is the plasma. The plasma is what carries all these cells. This right here is the white blood cells, right? And the job of the white blood cell is to do what?
Fight off intruders.
To fight off intruders. It is the immune system. When we say the immune system, we're talking about the white blood cells. All right? The plasma, on the other hand, the liquid part of the blood, that carries a lot of the nutrients that you find in the blood, such as the ions, potassium, sodium, proteins, things of that nature, okay? And the platelets, what is the job of the platelets?
Do they clean? I don't know.
So the platelets, their role is if you get a cut,
Correlate.
Okay.
they rush to that side, and so does red blood cells, and so does white blood cells. The white blood cells begin to act as a protector to keep things from entering in. There's a reason why you have a skin. God created you with a. If you look at everything that God created, it has a covering. Nature has a covering. The ground has a covering. Everything, nothing is left exposed. Your heart's not exposed. Your brain's not exposed. There's a covering on all of it, right? And so the platelets, they rush to that site to repatch the cut and to cover so that things don't go in. You ever hear people say, if you have a cut, cover it because you'll get an infection. That is why, okay? So the platelets are necessary. So there's a scripture in the Bible in Leviticus 17 verse 11 that says the life of the flesh is in the blood. And that is a scientific fact as well. Because when we look at the cell, we see that the blood is what feeds it. The DNA, the nucleus, the mitochondria, the whatever part of the cell is actually fed by the blood. And the blood is made from the things that we eat. The mouth, all the way down to the anus, these are the parts that constitute the gastrointestinal system. Okay? So what is that green organ there? That's the gallbladder, right? What is its role? You ever hear people say, I'm having a gallbladder attack?
So get rid of the bile,
Yeah.
the fat.
It releases bile to help emulsify or to help metabolize fats. And so when you have a gallbladder attack and you go to the doctor and they say, we want to remove your gallbladder.
Don't ever go
You don't need, they don't need to do that. I had a lady that I know till this day, and I can call her right now. She called me 2 years ago. And she was literally sitting on the gurney. She's like, they said I gotta take my gallbladder out. I'm in so much pain. And I don't know what to do. I can't keep food down. I'm vomiting. I said, don't do it. She said, really? I said, don't do it. She said, what do I do? I said, I'm going to give you a juice recipe. I want you to stop all dairy. I want you to stop all meats. And I want you to stop all butter. I'm going to give you a juice I want you to make with pineapples, celery, cucumber, not cucumber, pineapple, celery, ginger, turmeric. I said, I want you to juice yourself for 3 days. I want you to stop eating for the first 24 hours. Within 3 days, her gallbladder went back to normal. The attack stopped. The pain went away. 2 years later, she still has her gallbladder.
So I did a gallbladder cleanse with Epsom salt, grapefruit, and olive oil.
Mm-hmm.
And you could literally see, like, with the cholesterol and all the
Coming out.
stuff coming
Yeah,
out.
it was, yeah. So because we eat so much fat, okay, this lecture is long. Miss Rose, she's missing. You gotta turn off the phone so you can pay attention. Because we eat so much fat nowadays, the gallbladder was not designed to handle so much stress. And that's where that comes from. When they say, oh, I'm having a gallbladder attack, you just gotta stop eating all the fats.
And I don't even eat a lot of fat. So that just means like it was stored over time.
It will.
And my body wasn't effectively detoxing it.
That's right. That's right. So that can, in essence, cause inflammation. Now, the gut starting at the mouth to the anus. When you eat food, all right, remember, digestion begins where?
In the mouth.
In the mouth. Enzymes are released to break down proteins. Food goes down the esophagus, goes and drops into the stomach. And from the stomach, it goes to the small intestine, which is about 30 feet long or so. Very long. The small intestine is typically is really not designed to handle meats as much as we eat it, right?
Is that why people who have a lot of acid reflux, who eat a lot of meat, they
Yes.
get a lot of acid reflux because it's stuck in the small intestine?
Well, no, not necessarily. With acid reflux, what happens is when you drink and eat at the same time, a lot of people who drink and eat at the same time have this issue because number one, you're adding to the acid, you're watering down, and sometimes it just comes up. There's another issue. There's a sphincter here, right? The sphincter is kind of like an elastic band that keeps things together. And you have a few sphincters around your body. You have sphincters in your anal area. So what it does is it becomes loose over time due to improper eating and drinking, and so the acid is able to shoot up. The other part is just simple gravity. You're not supposed to lay down at least 4 to 5 hours after you eat. If you eat and 2 hours later you lay down, automatically the food's gonna shoot up because stomach is working. Stomach is trying to work. So starting there goes to the small intestine, and the large intestine primarily its job is to remove waste. This is where when you're constipated, if you feel right here or right here, you can actually feel the poop. And the majority of people living today have roughly 10 to 15 pounds of poop inside of them. And you can probably attest to that when you did your colonics.
Yeah, I think it's more than that.
And especially if you eat meat, it's worse. So we'd be like, when you're eating, I feel this, there's poop that is stuck. When we are eating chicken, beef, all these various meats, they are not designed for them to go through the body as quickly as vegetables does.
So
Okay.
it's not that we can't eat them, it's just the portions that we eat them in.
Well, I recommend abstaining completely because when you understand inflammation comes from acidic foods that are primarily meat products, dairy products, and a lot of us with our descent and background, where do we get cheese from? Like, cheese is not something I grew up eating. I didn't even really know much about it until I moved here. Okay, so these things are really horrible for our bodies, and they're not designed for the body to handle.
I think I have a question about
Yeah.
that. Because then they're like, okay, you can be pescatarian because it's leaner.
Yeah.
How does the body process that?
Well, there's different approaches to things. Okay, I haven't studied that aspect of diet, but what I do know is this, and the studies I'm about to show you right now